get over $50,000 in business credit from PNC without proof of income. I found a person that was able to fund multiple large business projects after going on an app spree with PNC Bank. And coming up, you'll see how to apply for 2 business credit cards with only 1 hard credit pull, 4 things you can do to get a $100,000 business line of credit, and how you only need to deposit $100 to get started with PNC today. Now, I gotta be honest with you, meeting PNC's requirements is tough, but it's all about showing them that your business is a safe bet. Here's what you need to do. Number 1 is credit scores. PNC pulls your FICO 9 score from Experian, a detail that sets them apart from most banks, which still use FICO 8. If you're wondering why that matters, FICO 9 handles certain aspects like medical debt and paid off collections differently, which can work in your favor or against you depending on your history. And right now, PNC generally looks for a score of 700 to 720 or higher. Then there's your credit profile, and PNC has high standards when it comes to your credit profile. Ideally, they want a clean record over the last 2 years, free from collections, charge-offs, or late payments. And then utilization is a major factor in PNC's approval process. They want to see a utilization below 5%, which is much lower than the standard 20% most lenders find acceptable. In fact, they'd even prefer it to be as low as 1%. Low utilization signals that you're financially stable and not overly reliant on credit. That's a key quality they look for in a business borrower. If you've been keeping your utilization below 5%, you're on PNC's radar as stable, a low risk applicant, which can only help your chances. And then PNC is particularly sensitive to recent inquiries. They want to see that you haven't been actively applying for credit elsewhere, as multiple inquiries suggest overextension. PNC's threshold is 2 inquiries in the last 90 days. And if you've recently applied for credit, consider holding off on other applications to keep your profile as clean as possible. Now, this isn't forever. It's just a short-term pause to give you the best shot at approval with PNC. Now, a major hack to get into PNC is establishing a business relationship. The first thing you'll want to do is set up a business bank account. The good news is you don't need to go in person to get started. PNC offers the option to open up an account online through a virtual meeting with a business relationship manager. I actually did this myself a few months ago, and it was a surprisingly smooth process. Starting with a basic low-cost business checking account is usually a smart choice. All you need is $100 to open it, and if you maintain a balance of $500, you can completely avoid monthly fees altogether. This keeps your costs down while laying the groundwork for a solid banking relationship. To set up your account, you need to have a few key documents ready. Essential items include your EIN letter from the IRS, your operating agreement, and your articles of incorporation. Having these documents in order not only speeds up the process, but also reinforces your legitimacy as a business in the eyes of the bank. And for those wondering, going with an account that has low or no fees is always a good call, especially when you're just starting out and focusing on keeping overhead low. If you want to go a step further and really boost up your bank rating, that's a factor that can influence credit limits and loan terms, try depositing a large amount, ideally between $2,000 and $5,000, and letting that sit for at least 90 days. This shows PNC that you're serious about maintaining a steady relationship and gives you a stronger footing when it comes to applying for higher credit limits. Now, another tip is start using the account actively by initiating deposits and making payments. Regular transactions make your relationship with PNC stronger. That's going to signal to them that your business has ongoing real-world activity. This can help position you for better funding opportunities when you're ready to apply. I'm actually doing this right now with PNC and with my business checking account. This month, I kicked off my plan to transfer at least $1,000 into that account each month. On top of that, I started shifting some of my regular business subscription services to this account to show some more consistent activity. My goal is to apply for business credit with PNC by the end of the year. They're one of the hundreds of banks that offer 0% interest for over a year too. And by the way, I just launched my 0% APR business credit card database. It comes with 500 plus banks that offer no interest for up to 18 months. You'll know which credit bureau each bank pulls from, the top banks in your state offering 0% interest funding, and you'll see which banks let you open multiple credit products with one hard pull. Plus, it includes every single bank on my original 0% APR list. So just hit the link below to get instant access to it. And moving on, PNC offers a couple of business credit cards that are designed to give you breathing room on new purchases or balance transfers, which is especially useful for startups or businesses needing working capital. The PNC Visa Business Credit Card offers 0% APR for the first 13 billing cycles on purchases and balance transfers. Plus, there's no annual fee, which is perfect if you're trying to keep costs down while establishing your business. Then there's the PNC Cash Rewards Visa Signature Business Credit Card, card. I know that's a mouthful. And that adds a huge $600 cash bonus. Beyond that, this card earns 1.5% cash back on your purchases, and like the Visa business credit card, it has no annual fee. Now, here's a helpful strategy if you're interested in both cards. You can actually apply for them on the same day and get them just with one hard credit pull. Many people had success using this approach. They were scoring approvals for both cards with great limits. Check out this person who said PNC Bank double approval, $50,000. Both were pre-approved. Points Visa signature was instant, and the core Visa went pending but approved 2 days later. Both cards arrived with identical $25,000 limits. Now, with this approach, you might end up with identical high limits on both cards, maximizing your credit availability with a single hard inquiry. Now, then there's the PNC Unsecured Business Line of Credit, and the PNC Unsecured Business Line of Credit is another funding option that can give your business a financial buffer, whether you're managing cash flow, purchasing inventory, or funding a new project. One of the advantages here is flexibility. You can apply for the line of credit on the same day as you apply for the PNC business credit cards too. So if you're building a funding plan, it's convenient to go for both types of credit at once. But remember, always go for the business credit cards first before you try getting approved for a business line of credit. And that's because business lines of credit are just harder to qualify for. When it comes to requesting an amount, aiming high but realistic is key. You might consider asking for the maximum of $100,000, as PNC often counters with a line of credit equal to 10 to 20% of your stated business revenue. PNC business line of credits range from $20,000 to $100,000. So your business revenue technically needs to be at least $200,000 to $1 million to qualify. And PNC's line of credit may often be no doc, especially for lower amounts, meaning you may not have to submit financial documents if you're requesting a reasonable sum. However, if you're aiming for the upper end, be prepared that PNC might ask for verification of revenue or other business documents. This is where keeping your financials up to date and organized is always best, so you're ready to meet any additional requirements. And here's a few approval data points that I want you to see. One customer shared that last week I applied for their business line of credit online, and by Monday, my company was approved for the full $100,000. Nothing reported to the personal credit, and the entire approval process was super smooth. No documentation required. They also said, while I was at it, the banker suggested I apply for their Cash Rewards Visa Signature business credit card. I got approved for $19,000. Now, here's why I think this worked. First, they had stronger personal credit. You know, this customer had a personal FICO score over 800, showing a solid history of financial responsibility. You know, that kind of score makes you an ideal candidate for lenders. And then two, they had established business history. Their business was funded back in 2013, giving them nearly a decade of experience. You know, this long operational history likely made PNC view them as a lower risk borrower. And then three, they had an existing relationship with PNC. The customer already had 2 lines of credit with PNC for different businesses, and that just demonstrates trust and successful repayments. This existing relationship played a big role in their approval too. And then 4, they added a bonus checking account. Although not initially required, the customer opened a business checking account when asked by PNC. You know, this move further strengthened their relationship with the bank and showed a willingness to meet their conditions. And check out this next data point. They said, I applied Wednesday evening, and by Friday morning, had an email and a call with a banker. I was approved for the exact amount I requested, $75,000 at a mid to 3% interest rate. The process was easy, a couple of e-signatures, and no hard inquiry on my personal credit. And they added, we're completely debt-free aside from a 2019 Ford extended transit van, so we didn't need the line of credit, but it's great to have it backing up our PNC checking account. And I think this worked because, one, they had high credit scores, right? With a personal credit score of 828 and a business score of 97, this applicant was in excellent financial standing. These strong scores likely gave PNC confidence that they're reliable. And then 2, they had solid business revenue, generating around $1.25 million a year in revenue. This business showed PNC they had the income to comfortably handle a large line of credit. And then 3, they had established banking relationship previously. The customer already had a PNC checking account, laying the groundwork for trust, and having an established banking relationship can make a significant difference when applying for substantial credit. And 4, low debt load. Besides the single vehicle loan, this business was debt-free, showing minimal debt likely positioned them as a low-risk borrower in PNC's assessment. And these are some great success stories, but what if you don't have a PNC bank in your part of the country? But here's the thing, I found another regional bank where a small business owner walked away with $20,000 with no proof of income required, and all they had to do was deposit a small amount into the business checking account. Check that out here in the next video, and thank you for watching.